welcome to Book Tease. I'm your host, Jamie, and this is the podcast that celebrates the power of well-written smut. We are in our final book of our sexy murder series, murder, but in a sexy way. We have enjoyed a lot of morally gray and just dark romance this month, and this book is going to be an awesome closer for that series. This book is a romantasy novel. It's got vampires, it's got intrigue, it's got politics, it's got forbidden love, it's got a crazy trial. It's got it all, man. This book is fire, and I can't wait to get into it, so let's go. Couple of housekeeping notes. By the time this episode comes out, our July theme and books for that month will have been released, and it's going to be such a change from this month. We've been going dark, we've been going dark romance and morally gray and murder, and we're about to flip it to sunshine, rom-com. It's sizzling summer. So July is for sizzling summer, and it's going to be a blast. So get ready for that. It's going to be a huge tonal shift from our current month. The next item I want to bring up is a reminder that this podcast does contain spoilers. I spoiled the whole damn book, y'all. So get ready. If you don't want to know the surprise ending on this one, if you want to stay surprised and you want to just experience it organically, then pause, read the book, and then come back, because you're going to want to talk about it once you get to this ending, y'all. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. We have The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and it is by Carissa Broadbent, and it is book 1 in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. Eek. Okay, I've read the second book and it's equally fire. I love Carissa Broadbent. This whole world she's built with these vampires and the crazy, it's excellent. So if you like romantasy and you want to read about a world ruled by vampires, then come on. How have you not picked this book up yet? So let's talk about it. First, we have Aurea. And these names, y'all, you know you're in a romantasy when you have names like Aurea and Nyaxia. Anyway, Aurea is a human. And she is a human that has been adopted by the Nightborn Vampire King. And that's how the book opens up. The book opens up where there's something that's going on. They're talking about how this one race or this one group of vampires have been eradicated and they're sweeping the area. And it's Vincent. He is the Nightborn King, and he's there and he finds in the rubble this little girl. She's only 6. She's really young. And he doesn't know how old she is because I've been around for centuries. I cannot tell human age, that sort of thing. So he says she could be 7. She could be, 10. I don't know. She's young. So we get the idea that she's not a toddler, but she's not a teenager, So I'm thinking around 5 to 10. Probably we're going to say about 6 or 7 just to keep it, average. So she's about 6 or 7, and he finds her and she bites one of his guards when he tries to reach for her to treat her like a little snackarooski, I guess. She bites him hard enough to draw blood, and Vincent is very intrigued and amused and kind of impressed. Oh, she's got teeth like a little serpent. And so he nicknames her Little Serpent, and he decides he's going to adopt her. And he treats her like a daughter. So now in this book, she is in her 20s. She's 23, 24. And she has been raised by Vincent in the Nightborn Palace or whatever. And she is treated like his daughter. He loves her, but she can't go many places because she's human and all these vampires might eater. So that's the opening of the book. That's where we're set up. Now, I said Nightborn King. There is the whole world that's been built here. So I'm going to take a second, because it's nice to know and have it all written out, the stuff that you just kind of learn throughout the book, right? So here are the vampire types according to this world. We'll start with Nightborn, because that's the highlighted type here. This book is basically the battle between the two sides of the Nightborn group, the Nightborn type. The Nightborns are from the House of Night. That's pretty self-explanatory. And their magic is of the night sky, specifically night fire. So it's like a fire that burns really bright, and it's like almost star fire, and they shoot it out or whatever. So that's the main power of the Nightborn. And there are two types of Nightborn. So we have the Hiaj, and that's the kind Vincent is, and that is the kind that is currently in power, currently in charge, is the Hiaj, and they have bat-like wings, and that, Araya's adopted father is this type, the Hiaj. Then they have the Rishon. Well, when the book opens, that's what they mention. Oh, the Rishon in this area have been eradicated. So we kind of know, okay, they're constantly at battle, the Hiaj versus the Rishon types, but they're under the same umbrella as the Nightborn. So currently, the Hiaj are in control. They are in power. That's what Vincent is. And the Rishon have feathered wings, and they're the former ruling class. But when Vincent took over, he oppressed the Rishon, and they're currently living in shadows and being hunted by the Hiaj. So that sets up that. The other types of vampires we have are the Bloodborn. And the Bloodborn obviously come from the House of Blood Magic. And their magic is blood magic. Basically, and it's pretty fucking creepy, they can, if you're cut and they see your blood, then they can control you via your blood. They can literally boil your blood and make you explode, or they can make you do what they want you to do. They can control you through your blood. That's creepy as fuck. They are also, though, cursed by Nyaxia. She got mad at him and threw a temper tantrum. That is the vampire goddess. And she cursed them, so they go mad and die young. So they have this crazy powerful blood magic, but they tend to go crazy and die young. They just go nuts. Then we have the Shadowborn, and hey, I guess you can guess this. They're from the House of Shadow, and they have shadow magic, which is kind of a mind magic. So they can control your thoughts. They can make you do things. But this book mostly pertains to the Nightborn and the battle between the two types of Nightborn, the Hiaj and the Rishon. Okay, so the main plot line in this book is that Oraya, who has been training, and she's a badass fighter, she is going to enter the Kajari. And the Kajari is a trial-based tournament hosted by the goddess of death, who is Nyaxia. She is the goddess of death, the ruler of all vampires. That's where they get their power from. That's her. And there's a trial or a tournament in her honor every 100 years or so. And you enter it, and there's only one survivor. So basically, there's different trials, and I actually wrote down, let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. There are 5 trials total in the Hajari. There is the full moon trial, there is the waning moon trial, there is the half moon trial, there's the crescent trial, and there is the new moon trial. Of course, it's all moon theme and takes place in the Moon Palace, because Nyaxia is the goddess of death, and she loves the moon. The Half Moon trial, the third trial in this tournament, requires teams, and that becomes really important later on. And by the end of the final trial, the New Moon trial, it's to the death, down to just one person. Only one person can win. And so whoever you partnered up with in the Half Moon trial, you have to turn around and try to kill. They become your enemy. So you have to partner up with them and really trust them to become your partner and get you through that trial. And then you have to basically just all turn on each other. And what a mind fuck. Seriously, that is insane. Okay, what's the purpose of the Hajari, right? Like, there's got to be a reason why these people want to, you know, give their whole soul and life to Nyaxia and enter this crazy trial, right? And fight to the death. There's one winner out of like hundreds of people. Seriously, there's got to be a good reason for this, right? Well, the standing survivor of the Hajari is granted a single wish by the goddess. And this is how Vincent won his rule of the Nightborn. Aurea wants to win, so she can connect herself with Vincent, which would make her a vampire without actually turning her. And the reason is because she's basically wanting to bind her life force with Vincent because he's a vampire. He's going to live forever. He's incredibly powerful. And that way, she has all the power of being a vampire. But in this world, being turned is really problematic. The chance of survival is like 30%. Like most people that go to be turned just end up dying. It's not as often that you can get turned in this world. So she doesn't want to risk her life, and Vincent doesn't want her to risk her life to become immortal, to become a vampire. But he's like, you can bind your life with me, and then it's an added benefit because he doesn't have to worry about whoever wins the Kajari trying to take power over him, right? He's like, okay, you're not going to try to kill me and gain power. I know what you're using your wish for, right? So he's like, okay, that's my benefit. Plus, I think of you like a daughter. You can be my daughter and you can officially be my heir once you're like vampire-like and you have that power and you have that added strength of immortality, then good. I get to keep you around. And her benefit, not only about the safety and the power and being something other than prey in this world that she lives in, she wants to also go avenge her family. She needs to go deep into that territory and find out like what really happened to her family, if she has any surviving relatives. And she can't do that until she has this added power. So that's her benefit. That's what she wants. That's the reason she's entering this Kajari. Well, on the very first night of the tournament, she meets Rain. Rain is our MMC. He's going to become very important. So she meets Rain, and they kind of have a little tenuous allyship. There's, he helps her, and she's like, fine, whatever. But I mean, they're kind of, there's tension there. There's tension. And he's like, look, I want to go ahead and have you agree to be my ally for the Half Moon trial, because I think it'd be a benefit. I know who you are. I know that you've been trained by Vincent, the king of the Nightborn. I know that. So I know that there'd be a benefit to having you as my ally. Well, I'd make a badass ally. I've already saved you once that night, the very first night of the tournament. So he's like, okay, he's trying to push for this allyship. And eventually she agrees, and they grow closer. There's him, and he has his best friend there. His best friend also enters the tournament. And so the three of them shack up in a room together, in an apartment area together, and they protect each other. And especially, this is crazy, later on in the tournament, and I'm jumping way ahead, but later on in the tournament, Nyaxia cuts food supply off to everyone. And Aurea's the only human there. So she's getting attacked left and right. There's vampires trying to fly up to her window. So her having Rain there to help protect her is a huge benefit. So they end up becoming really close. All three of them do, honestly. His best friend ends up getting hurt before the Half Moon trial. So when they go into it, it's just Rain and Aurea going into the Half Moon trial. But they had worked together prior. So they're one of the strongest groups because they've worked together. They actually have formed this true partnership. They've actually taken time to train together, to learn each other. And so it really is nice. And it kind of balances out to where Aurea is the brains and Rain is kind of the bronze. Like, he's really powerful. This dude is huge. He is described as a wall of a man. He is a big, big dude. And he looks mean and he's all scarred up. He's got the scar on his eye and he's just this big dude. And Aurea is really cunning. She's really clever. She has to be because she is a human that has grown up in a world of vampires. So not only has she had to train herself to be strong and fast and brutal, but she's also had to, because she's at a disadvantage, she's a human, she's not as strong, she's easier to kill. She's had to really hone her skill and be clever. And so it really plays into her benefit and it really benefits their team because he's not had that problem. So it ends up being a really great partnership and they end up just becoming so close during these trials, always knowing, it's always looming over their heads that they're going to have to turn on each other eventually. Like, they can make it down to where it's just the two of them and keep helping each other, but then they're going to have to turn on each other because there can only be one Renner. And they just try to not think about that part and just watch them tiptoe around the part that eventually we're going to have to turn on each other. It starts to become so heartbreaking to think about. The closer they get, the more they trust each other. You could tell they're falling in love with each other, and yet they're going to get out of this tournament. They're going to have to turn on each other. One of them is going to have to kill the other to finish this tournament out. And it's just like, it's this underlining tension that's there the entire time and becomes more and more strong the further they get in this tournament. They keep taking turns saving each other's life, and it's wild. So while they're in this moon palace going through this incredibly deadly tournament, it becomes increasingly obvious there is something going on. A war is being begun outside of this tournament. And they don't know because they're in this moon palace and they're not allowed to leave. So it's just becoming obvious that there's some kind of political tension going on as well. They don't even know what they're going to find once they get out of this. And there's been some attacks. There was an attack even on the moon palace, and it's all being blamed on the Rishon. However, guess who's a Rishon? Rain. Rain's a Rishon. And I guess technically, Aurea will be aligned with the Hiaj side. So they're supposed to be enemies a couple of different ways. They're supposed to be enemies. So it's crazy that they form this friendship and then they form this alliance. And now they're forming this deeper connection, knowing that they're on opposite sides of this line. It's a Romeo-Juliet situation here, y'all. And that they're going to have to eventually turn on each other because of the nature of this tournament. So these attacks are being blamed on the Rishon, and Rain's like, it's not us. Okay, it is not the Rishon. I'm telling you it's not the Rishon. Do you believe me? And she's not sure if she should believe him, but because he's him and she's become so close to him, she's starting to believe him. And it's just like there's all these different pieces in play. And it's like, what is going on? Are we going to find out? Well, like I said, they pair up and they get through the trials and they become a very formidable team in the Half Moon. And in the final trial, it does come down to the two of them. They work together up until the very end of the final trial. And then heartbreakingly, they turn on each other. And Rain is goading Araya. He is goading her. And you can kind of see on the outside what he's doing. And you're like, oh, my heart is shattering, y'all. He is pushing her to fight him. He is pushing her to show her anger. He is goading her to attack. And then when she finally does, he guides her arm and he guides her hand. He pushes the blade into his own heart so that she wins. And I'm going to cry. It was crazy. So she's just like devastated. And she's like, I didn't do that. I was pulling away. I was gonna, like, what happened? And she's like, did he do that? What happened? I didn't push the blade in that far, but here he is. He's dead. And her heart is shattered. And she's like, oh my God, I can't live without him. I love him so much. And then Nyaxia comes floating down in all her devastating, horrendous beauty and is like, what's your wish? You won. Congratulations. Well, Araya, in her heartbroken state, looks into the crowd at Vincent and then tells Nyaxia, my wish is that Rain won the tournament. Oh my God. Vincent just is looking at her in devastation because you are going to pass your power onto a Rishon ex-slave, and you don't know what you're putting your family, your father, the only life you know, into danger because you fell in love with basically your enemy. It is insane. And then you're like, oh my God, is he gonna just wake up and he say, okay, well, I want to be together? Get ready, y'all. Here's the big surprise ending. And if you don't want to hear it, then shut this off, baby, because I'm about to spoil the fuck out of it. Get ready, because these things happen in very quick succession, like back to back. When Rain comes back and he sees what happened, and he is like, oh, Araya, why didn't you just take my sacrifice? What did you do? Then he's like, okay, I have to follow through with what my original plan was, because he has a higher reason, a higher power for this. He uses his wish to kill Vincent, to kill Araya's father right in front of her. Everything goes crazy, and the following things are revealed. We find all of this out immediately. Vincent's dying. We find out that the person that turned Rain was the king Vincent overthrew. So Rain is the Rishon heir. Right? So Rain was a turned vampire, okay? And the Rishon king that Vincent overthrew was an asshole. He was a crazy asshole. He used Rain as a slave, and he did some horrible things to him, but he also is the one who turned him, and Rain ended up aiding Vincent in overthrowing this king because he's such a shitty person. And Rain was like, I want to be free. I want the Rishon to be free from this guy. And when Vincent came into power, and he had the help of Rain, though he didn't know that's who it was at the time, he used his power to push the Rishon down and to also become a tyrant of sorts, which Araya didn't know. That's her father. And then she's learning all these things about how he's starting this war, and her father is kind of a tyrant in a way as well. And it breaks her heart, which is why she ultimately chooses to align herself with Rain. She didn't ever know what his intention was. But her thing is like, I don't know if I could trust my father, even though I love him and I know he loves me and he's always been good to me. There are some questionable things that I see he's doing, so she's not sure who to trust, y'all. And then Rain kills her father, and we find out he's the Rishon heir. Rain is the heir, so now he is the king of the Nightborn. because Vincent's dead and he's the one who did it. He is in a rocky, tumultuous cahoots with the Bloodborne, who they're kind of known as like the black sheep outcasts of the vampire community because they go crazy, because they really can't be trusted. So he got in cahoots with them, and they're the ones who did the attacks on the Moon Palace and stuff. They're the ones who got this war started, and Vincent just blamed the Rishon. He used it because he's blinded by hatred for the Rishon. So he used that as a reason to further push them down and to get this war started. Meanwhile, it was the Bloodborne who just are off doing the shit, and nobody even knew about it. So we also find out, y'all, that Aurea is Vincent's biological daughter. And now that Vincent's dead, she is the heir of the Nyaxia. Right? So now she has been hooking up with the current, the heir of the Rishon and the heir of the Nyaxia have been hooking up. It truly is a Romeo and Juliet sitch here, y'all. It truly is, okay? Aurea's half vampire. And that's the whole reason that Vincent went to that town during this war, was he wanted to find her. And he just let her think all this time that it was circumstantial, that it just happened to happen. It was a coincidence. He just happened to come across her in the rubble. He went there looking for her. And she has no other family. And he knows she has no other family because he's killed them all. And on his dying breath, he told her, I was going to tell you, I wanted to tell you. So now finds out she's a vampire. During this trial, she developed the use of night fire. Like she's been trying, and now she can wield night fire. So she's half vampire, half human, and she is now the heir. Whoa. So now Rain's followers are like, we've got to kill her. You have to kill her. You cannot have, I don't care how you feel about her, you cannot have the Nyaxia heir be alive when you're just starting your reign, especially since you have so many other people who are against you, being as your Rishon, and we've been living under a rule where the king of the Nightborn hate the Rishon. So you're already kind of at a disadvantage. Do not let her live. And he tells everyone, he announces it, I'm not killing her, I'm marrying her. And she will be under my control because she will be my bound wife. He immediately drags a priestess to the room and forces a marriage, and the marriage binds the two of them together. At this point, we're set up for book 2. Rain and Aurea are married. They don't know if they can trust each other. He is like honor bound to get this stuff done for his life, for his family, for his followers, for everything. And because he wants to be a better king than Vincent. He wants to be the kind of king that Vincent said he was going to be, right? And Aurea is just like, I don't know if I could trust you. I fell in love with you. I gave you my body. I gave you my heart. I gave you my loyalty. I won the trial, and then I gave it all to you, and you turned around and killed my father in front of me. The only remaining family I have. And then I find all this other stuff out, and I don't know who to trust. And Vincent's like right-hand person, his king of the guard, his like leader of the guard, is this badass woman named Jasmine. And she finds Aurea, and she's like, you have my loyalty. Let's figure out a way to get you out of here. So book 2 is set up with them not knowing if they can trust each other, but now they're married. And Rain has his agenda, and now Aurea is like in connections with the Nyaxia, who have like her father's whole army has kind of, what's left of them have gone into hiding, but she's in connection with them. And you're like, is she going to have an uprising? What's going to happen? Are they going to work together to build a better world, or are they going to end up having this inner fighting? Like, what is going on with the Nightborn? So that's how book 2 is set up, y'all. It was a wild ride going through these trials. It was like, yeah, it was like the Hunter Games up in that motherfucker. So It was great. And it was very poetically written. I love a romantasy. I do. I'm like, I mean, I've mentioned it before. I'm a Renaissance Festival girly. I love Shakespeare. I mean, I'm all about all that stuff. And so this was a lot of fun to me. The political intrigue, the like Shakespearean feel, the like, oh yeah, there was a lot going on, a lot I really enjoyed with vampires. What's not to love? Okay, so I rated this book a 4. The spice level, though, one of my taglines is, we celebrate the power of well-written smut. Well, this is a well-written book, but it is not smutty, y'all. It is not smutty in the least. There is barely any sex in it at all. The spice rating here is a 1.5. It happens. We're there for it. It's not closed door, but it's in no way spicy. I mean, it is purely plot driven. It is a way for us to realize how they're connecting. They're not even using naughty words. It's sexy. It's like there's biting and all the stuff, but it's not smutty. But I love this book so much. And it was so well done that I'm not even mad about the lack of smut. I'm going to move on to quotes. This first one, not even really said by a person. It is in the prologue. The narrator is setting up everything. And this is right after Vincent decides he's going to take Aurea home. And he has decided to adopt her. And we're not really sure why, except that he's just impressed that she fought back at such a young age. She's got a warrior's heart, and that's all we think. And then we find out everything at the end. But here's the writing in the prologue. And man, does it set up beautifully. It makes you wonder what's going on. How, like it's such great foreshadowing. It's just like, yes, okay, I'm already invested. Here it goes. Hundreds of years later, historians and scholars will look back at this moment, this decision that one day would topple an empire. What a strange choice, they would whisper. Why would he do this? Why indeed? After all, vampires know better than anyone how important it is to protect their hearts. And love, understand, is sharper than any stake. Wow, it sets up so many things, right? Okay, then just from the very the prologue, the very opening of the book, that somehow Aurea is going to bring an end to Vincent and his empire. And that somehow love is going to be at the forefront of that. And if love is sharper than any stake, then yes, it's going to kill Vincent, but is it also going to kill Aurea? I mean, it gets you thinking before you even get into chapter 1, y'all. This was written so well. Okay, this is Elena, and I didn't talk about Elena, but growing up in the Nightborn Palace, she doesn't really have any friends, right? She is the only human that's not there as a blood bank, essentially. Elena is there as a blood bank. She has been there for several years. She is the longest lasting donor. She has lasted to elder age. Like she's an elderly woman. She's older, but she is super spunky and super bright and super fun. She's really she has become like a family member to Aurea. It's the only human she interacts with. And she just describes this cranky old woman, and they give each other shit. And she is just like, oh man, she's sassy and she's funny and she smokes cigars. And she's like, look, I'm living my life, baby. Like I'm doing, and I'm not going to go live in the human slums. I don't want that life. So yeah, this one's hard, but really, in my opinion, I will take the trials here than the trials out there, because at least I'm living some kind of life. I have my little apartment. I know what my job is. They've not tried to kill me yet, and I'm living every moment to the fullest that I can. So that's kind of how Elena lives life, right? But their dynamic was it was so sweet. It was so fun. It was just cute. But unfortunately, the very night of the opening of the tournament, Elena's killed. And it breaks Araya's heart, and she tries to go after, and that's when Rain comes in and he pulls her back. So, and that's what happened. But Elena does say this before the trials begin, before all of that, when it's just like chapter 1. We have her interactions with Elena. And this is what Elena says. And I wrote it down because it was so funny and I liked it. You're sweet, prickly, but sweet, in an acidic sort of way, like a pineapple. I'm going to tell that to somebody. Oh, you're sweet like a pineapple. I just thought it was so cute. And that's going to be like the only cute and quirky. Everything else is like in depth, man. Okay, here's Araya. And then I realized that fear, when embraced, hardens and sharpens, that it becomes rage, that it becomes power. I would not die here. I'd let my fury explode. Whoa. And that's when she starts wielding that night fire, y'all. Bam! She gets through the trials. And but that's what she is, my fear. I turned it into fury. Okay. And this is Rain when he starts talking. They're like in one of their many conversations where they start kind of opening up to each other, because Rain was a turned human. He knows what it was like to be a human, to taste food, to be able to bleed like that. He knows what being a human was like before he was turned into a vampire. So he tells this to Araya. Don't be so quick to throw away your humanity, Araya. You might find you miss it once it's gone. And we really begin to love and feel for Rain. And we know why he's so tough on the outside. And, we really start to learn his heart, and we're really rooting for them and just so worried about the end of this trial. And then the end happens and we're like, we're betrayed along with Araya. Like, can we fucking trust this man? Okay, and this was when they finally hook up. Like when they do the deed, he tells her this. Oh, this is Rain. You don't even know, Araya, the things I've thought about. Want doesn't even fucking cover it. I have a list. Ooh, he has a list. Well, we don't get to know the list. He don't tell us. Man, we don't know. But he has a list, okay? And apparently during that night they start working through the list, but we don't get to hear about it. This is Rain. I would beg. For you I would. You have fucking destroyed me, Araya. Do you know that? Ooh, to bring this strong, powerful vampire man to his knees. Wow, go Araya. And this is Araya when she meets Nyaxia. When Nyaxia comes down and she is struck by the sheer terrifying beauty of her. Like, she is described as like having skin of silver and just curtains of black hair to her knees. And she's naked and the shadows are caressing her curves and she has a dribble of blood. And Araya is struck first in all of her beauty, but then she's like, it's danger. It's dangerous. I am like drawn to her. I want to lick the blood off her beautiful chin, and it's terrifying. So this is what she said. Araya, I had learned long ago that vampire beauty was dangerous, a trap set with silver teeth. Their allure was made to draw in prey. Nyaxia's allure dwarfed it, and it terrified me. Nyaxia tells her this when she sees that Araya's upset about the fact that Rain is dead. Nyaxia says, a dead lover can never break your heart. The whole trials are built around Nyaxia's story and how she lost her lover and she was looking for him and she ended up losing him, and like the whole trials of the trials she went through to try to find him. Here's Rain. After he's alive again and he kills her father, and this is when he's talking to her after he's announced to everybody, I'm going to marry her and so you can't kill her. This is what Rain tells her. Because she's fighting. She doesn't want to marry him. She's fighting against him. So Rain says, I can't kill you. I tried. I can't. A world without you would be a dark, depressing place. And I've already inflicted enough pain without committing that fucking injustice too. So let me save you. He is begging her, marry me. It's the only way I could save you. I want you by my side to rebuild this entire empire, to make it right, to make it to where humans and Rishon, they can live. They can have a life too, and they're not just a cattle ground. He's like, let me save you. And she's like, I can't trust you. Oh my God, the intrigue. All right, and this is the final quote, and this is Araya, and this is like one of her closing lines of the book. For one moment, it was all laid bare. My friend, my enemy, my lover, my captor, king and slave, human and vampire, and perhaps the only other person that would ever really understand what it was like to have a heart that bled both red and black. I hated him, and I loved him. Oh, man. So, you finish this book, you immediately want to jump into book 2, y'all. It's so good. I'm pleased with my casting. I'm always pleased with my casting. Come on. But this one I nailed. For Araya, I'm going with Ella Balinska. And she was in the 2019 make of Charlie's Angels, and she is a badass. Listen, this girl grew up learning martial arts, various kinds of martial arts, and doing weapon training. She is very physical. She is just a badass, and she really honestly carried that Charlie's Angels movie. She was also in a movie called The Occupant, which was really interesting. She was in the Resident Evil TV series, and recently she was in the Forspoken video game. Like, she was the voice actor, and then she also did the animated acting. It's all her too. I mean, it's cool. So, Ella Balinska. And y'all, I finally did it. For Rain, I'm casting Jason Momoa. And I've been wanting to cast that man for a while because I love Jason Momoa. But who else could be Rain? Honestly, there are other actors, other men out there who could be a wall of a man, who have the brutish, just hyper masculine, strong, rough appearance. Jason Momoa has the scar already, which Rain is described as having. And Rain, he has dark red eyes and dark red, almost black hair. So imagine Jason Momoa in all his masculine, buffed out glory with tattoos and dark, dark red eyes. I mean, and wings. Oh, I'd watch that. But I'm going Jason Momoa in his Game of Thrones or Aquaman era, like the younger Jason Momoa, not the Minecraft Jason Momoa. Whatever, I'll take Jason Momoa anyway. But you can find other actors who might have that like larger than life, hyper masculine, just warrior look. But Rain is also really witty. And he has a sense of humor, and he has emotional depth. And we need someone who can also be witty and charismatic and have that charisma and have that like personality behind it. And I could not think of anyone that could fit that better than Jason Momoa. So that's it. I have finally cast Jason Momoa, and I am fucking ecstatic about it. Like, he's the perfect Rain. And I can just be happy that task has been done. This was a great series, y'all. I had a blast all June. I mean, this was right up my alley, babes. I had so much fun with all of the dark drama of it all. And I'm equally excited to go into something lighthearted, sun-soaked, and sexy. So if you've liked this episode, please like and subscribe, rate and review, all the things, and invite more people to this crazy book club because it's so much fun. Thank you so much. And until next time, stay spicy.
And that's it for this episode of Book Tease. Book and theme reveals and episode commentary can be found at TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Book Tease Pod. Theme music is by The Scraps, and until next time, stay spicy.